everybody, Rob Saxton. A little video for you today, different format. We do have Robert Plant in the video, but I've got a couple other people with me who are lobbyists down in the legislature, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves in just a second. But we've talked a bit about the legislative session that's going on, and this is real time. These guys were down there yesterday or this morning working on lobbying for us, and they're doing a great job, and I'll have them introduce who they are. Start with David.
Yeah, David Williams. I'm Administrator for Strategic Initiatives for the Beaverton School District and represent Beaverton and have been advocating for schools for about 20 years.
So technically not called lobbyist?
Technically not lobbyist.
All right.
My name is Ozzie Rose, and unlike my son here, I've been down there lobbying school issues since 1974. And what's on the table now is very important to us. Money's important. The potential for a different revenue stream is very important, and I hope you pay attention to that.
All right, so I'm going to have Ozzie talk for just a second about the state school fund for next year and the following year, and what you think is going to happen as far as the number of dollars that are going to be available and what we and districts can do with that money.
It has become more and more certain, I believe, that the state school fund appropriation will be 8.97, which I think comes close to CSL for a lot of school districts. Now one of the issues is whether they split 50-50 or 49-51, but both of those play into how you manage your money over the next biennium. But that is much more positive than it's been when we started.
Right, so it seems like there should be enough money for us to do next year what we're doing this year. There's some nuance to that because some parts of the budget comes with strings attached, like in early learning and some other pieces, but we don't have all the time to cover that. I'll cover that a little bit later in another video. But it looks like there'll be a current service level. I think that there's a revenue, the amount of state revenue comes out on May 15th, and depending on that revenue forecast, it'll probably tell us something about how much we've got.
Yes, that is key, but everybody's assuming it will be enough to cover the 8.97.
Right. So Ozzie's been lobbying in Salem for a long time. He's probably the most trusted education lobbyist in Salem, and he lobbies for ESDs. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, what are we looking at big picture going forward, Dave?
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, I'm super excited about this. Kind of blows me away.
Well, Rob, I also am excited. I really, and I don't use this lightly, that this really is a moment in education advocacy that we've not seen in my 20 years, and probably not even in Ozzie's more than 20 years, lobbying for education.
36 for me. I've never seen anything like this. This is game changing. Right?
We passed ballot measure 5 in 1990, and we've been fighting ever since to get adequate, sustainable funding. Like these terms roll off our head because we've been doing it for so long. We are at a moment where the legislature has a $2 billion investment package dedicated solely to pre-K through 12 education in the state, coupled with a corporate revenue tax, it's called a commercial activities tax, that is as close as we've ever gotten to actually funding the system, something close to approximating the quality ed model. There was a 3.5-hour hearing last night on the measure coming out of the Joint Committee on Student Success, and the legislature is really poised to make this happen. But here's the key. They're not going to do it on their own, and they need us pushing them. We in the Beaverton School District have been calling our legislators all week. We sent out an alert to our community saying, now is the time. Talk to your legislators. Tell them how important this is.
Send them an email.
Send them an email. Right? If you go to the legislature's website, there's a great place to look up your address, tell you who your legislators are. Send them an email and just tell them how important investment is to kids. How we can really change the paradigm around things like social emotional learning, class sizes, the school year, well-rounded education. These are key things that we actually have a moment and an opportunity to invest. And I don't say that lightly, right? These two know me. I don't pass that off. I've been pessimistic since day one, and I am cautiously optimistic right now that we're going to make this happen. But we need everybody chiming in to make this happen right now.
So, as I understand it, it would mean that a package would likely be passed, and there's ideas about how it could be used to support education in the state. It's very likely that it will then be referred to voters to vote on whether or not it'll be an initiative.
Right.
So the legislature will pass it. It'll be law. But then, it'll probably be referred to voters for an election, probably January 2020.
Yeah, that's what we hear. So, you know, anybody can collect signatures to refer anything the legislature does to the ballot, and that would be the mechanism that would trigger this. And the legislature would define probably a special election in January for voters to weigh in on this enormous investment. So even at the end of the legislative session, there are opportunities for our voters to continue to work on this going forward.
So I'm hearing today, and I hadn't heard this before, that because it's a tax, there's a little bit of a reduction in income tax to typical Oregon voters, 0.25%.
0.25%.
That's in this, and then it also is a corporate tax, and it's earmarked specifically for schools, that the polling on this is pretty good. If it goes to a ballot, I think that we have a real fighting chance to have it stand up, which is,
Right.
is incredibly exciting. It's not something we wouldn't see any money next school year. This is something that would go probably for the next 40 years into the future. It would be like undoing ballot measure 5 kind of thing as far as the amount of revenue that would come into schools. And it would probably have that same long-lasting effect in the state of Oregon around education funding. And so that's why it's a super big deal. Short term, we need people to be in contact with their legislators about what they think about this. And so I would encourage you to do that. David was saying he's seen lots of emails where people say, this is the first time I've ever written to a legislator, but this is like keenly important to me. And so I would encourage you to think about that. And then down the road, and this is for another day, there'll probably be some kind of referral to voters, and then you can be politically active again. So hopefully kept it not too long. I think it's really interesting stuff, and I think we have a moment in time with great opportunity.
I'd like to make one comment.
All right.
The bill is written, there's a lot of good stuff in the bill about what we could do in schools if we had money. The bill then also has a piece that says, here's the money. None of it passes unless all of it passes. It's clearly in the bill. It is key to what we do in January.
Got it. The last thing I want to say is that the advocates for education and the partnership that's come together with different advocate groups in education have done the most unbelievable work I've ever seen over the course of my career to put this where it is currently. This won't come along again. This moment in time will not come along again. And thanks to just 1,000 different things that have come together to make this possible, make this count. Thanks for listening.